Good afternoon. My name is Aurélien Laurent. With my colleague Miss Urbanova. Today we'll have a day 2 match, second match for two teams who are in the group phase, Group A, and Tallinn University of Technology and OP Jindal Global University. So I give the floor to Miss Urbanova, who will be hosting the match.
Thank you very much, and good day, everyone. Welcome to the Day 2 debate match of the Inter University Law Debate Tournament. It is a pleasure to have the teams from Tallinn University of Technology and OP Jindal Global University today with us. The teams received 7 days in advance a topic that they have prepared for, which is that transboundary climate-induced displacement must be recognized as a legal category obliging share protections of duties. The teams have prepared for the two sides of the argument, but before we learn which side is defending which during debate, passing the floor to the teams for introductions. Starting with Tallinn University of Technology, Mr. Ilsudnu.
Apologies. I did not catch the last part of.
Yes, we'll now proceed with the introductions. So I'm passing the floor to you.
Of course. Yes, my name is Juho Ylisirnia. I'm a second-year bachelor law student here at Tallinn University of Technology, and I had a very good experience on our day one, and I'm very excited for the second day of debates, and I hope we have a good debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From OP Jindal University, Ms. Sarkar.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
you
you
are.
are.
Yes, sure.
I'm Orshia Priyanjali Sarkar, and I am a third year BA LLB student in OP Jindal Global University. During my first match, it was a very enlightening match, and we learned a lot from it. And overall, we're really enjoying this debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. From Tallinn University of Technology, Mr. Shkladze.
Hello, my name is Luca. I'm from Tallinn University of Technology, currently pursuing my master's degree. I wish you all a good debate and best of luck to our opposing team.
Thank you. Welcome. From OP Jindal Global University, Ms. Barkova.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
I'm Sara Bhargav. I'm currently in my third year and pursuing the degree at Jindal Global Law School. The first match was an extremely fruitful discussion for all of us, wherein we all learned fresh perspectives we did not incorporate in our preparation last time. Accordingly, I'm extremely excited for the debate today. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. From Tallinn University of Technology, Mr. Mankpate.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Joseph Blaine Magpantai, and I'm currently in my first year of Bachelor's of Law here in Tallinn University of Technology. I'm from the Philippines, and I'm looking forward to debating with all of you today.
Thank you. Welcome. From OP Jindal Global University, Mr. Sriharsh.
Good evening. I'm Sai Prasad Sriharsh. I'm a fourth-year law student in OP Jindal Global University. I'm very thankful to the organizers for having us here. We learned a lot on our first day and our first match, and we realized there's a lot of room for us to improve. Hopefully, we have implemented some of it for today's match. All the best to the opposing team. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you. Welcome. The two teams are also supported by their mentors and coaches for the Tallinn University of Technology. We would like to give a shout out to Mr. Alexei Oskar Johannes Kaenter and to OP Jindal Global University's coaches Rishabh Iyer and Namrata Madhu Raghunath. Of course, just before we start the timer for your final preparations, we'll learn which team will represent which side during the debate today. So passing the floor to Professor Levanch, whose screen you will see shortly with the allocation of positions.
Yes, so now it is time to know which position you will have for this match. Two possibilities, as you can see, to be in favor or to be against the motion. The team in favor will be starting the match with the first introduction. So for this match, Tallinn University of Technology will be against the motion. As a consequence, OP Jindal Global University will be in favor of the motion, will be starting with the first introduction. So concretely, it means that OP Jindal Global University will defend the position that transboundary climate-induced displacement must be recognized as a legal category, obliging shared protection duties. In the meanwhile, Tallinn University of Technology will defend the position that transboundary climate-induced displacement does not have to be recognized as a legal category, obliging shared protection duties. So now you will have 5 minutes to review your notes. You may close mic and camera, and we'll hear then the introduction by OP Jindal Global University. So we are done with the 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'll be your co-host for the debate. I'll be also giving you the visual cues for your time remaining. So yellow card for 30 seconds left and red card for when you're speaking time is up. Of course, feel free to comfortably conclude your last sentence. And thus, without further ado, giving the floor to OP Jindal Global University team for the opening statement for the in favor position.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I will be going first for OP Jindal Global University. I will begin at the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1. Honorable members of this House and our esteemed opponents, good evening to you all. This motion before this House is whether transboundary climate-induced displacement must be recognized as a legal category that obliges shared protection duties. Our team's fundamental line is that international law is already talking about climate displaced persons. It is scattered across human rights treaties, across climate agreements, and binding judicial opinion. The motion simply asks that we complete this architecture by naming the category and by codifying the duty. What is climate-induced displacement here? It means being forced across an international border because climate impacts have made staying a threat to life or survival. It is not voluntary, it is not hypothetical. In 2024 alone, 45.8 million people were displaced by disasters. Pacific Island nations faced the loss of their entire territories. These people are already crossing borders, and when they arrive, they have no legal status, no defined rights, and no states obliged to protect them. This is the gap this motion addresses and wants to close. We will do this through two contentions. Our first contention is that the legal obligation already exists and the motion is only providing a binding vessel to enforce the same. In 2020, the UNHRC in THIULDT versus New Zealand established that returning a person to life-threatening climate conditions can breach the right to life. Then in July 2025, the ICJ, in a unanimous opinion for the fifth time in its 80-year history, confirmed climate prevention as a binding CIL and reaffirmed non-defaultment. And the Inter-American Court went further the same month, addressing that forced climate displacement is a legal obligation with no derogation permitted. But in its current form, the obligation is fragmented, reactive, and contingent on very individual factors. It protects the persons who can reach the court at the right lawyer at the right time. What about the millions who do not get this far? This motion aims to change that by what courts have established into a predictable, enforceable framework. Our second contention here is that refusing to recognize climate displaced persons not prevent them from displacement. It simply determines whether they come with rights or they come without them. The courts have already documented what non-recognition would produce. Why wait for one judge to find the right angle on one right day? That is not a legal system. That is pure luck. Climate displaced people are labeled economic migrants on arrival because there is no existing category to label them. A legal category would fix that, and with it, the protection gap that produces this harm in the first place. Honorable members, the law already says these people cannot be sent back to die. Courts have said it, treaties have said it, the world's highest judicial body said it unanimously just a few months ago. Without the law, what the law has not done yet is give these people a name, give them a status, and a process they can rely on without needing a lawyer. And honestly, a miracle. That is all this motion does. It takes what already exists and makes it work for the people who need it the most. The proposition is proud to affirm. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear the opening statement by Tallinn University of Technology's debate team. You have 4 minutes.
Hello, I will be starting in 1, 2, and 3. Honorable judges, the proposition is asking you to create international legal category with binding shared duties. This is of course compassionate, but is legally unclear, politically unachievable, and could be potentially devastating. Our argument lies on three main points. First is existing law already addresses the matter. Second is precision. And third, that is that international law depends on states' consents. While discussing the argument first, our colleagues also mentioned THIULDT versus New Zealand. And we must say that the International Human Rights Committee has already said that environmental disasters can trigger the Article 6 of ICCPR. This demonstrates that human rights law can adapt. Also, European Human Rights Court has also distinguished that the Article 2 and Article 8 of ECHR can also address these matters. So, regional courts have already demonstrated that law can adapt. So, when addressing this matter, why should we implement a new law when existing law, as already proven by the case mentioned by our colleagues in THIULDT versus New Zealand, can address this matter and give us solutions? Creating new binding regime risks fragmentation and legal overlap. Second, precision. Law must be precise. So what does climate really mean? Climate is a long-term weather pattern. So when we say that climate change, how do we adapt it in individual case? Let me make a simple life example. If a farmer leaves a place because of drought, is it climate? Is it economic failure? Is it governance? Or is it market collapse? How do we define the term here? There is no legal clear category in this case. And in many other cases, because without precise criteria, we create chaos. For some, chaos is a ladder, for some, it's pit, but for law, it's fatal, and we should not allow this. And third, binding the shared duties can be political viability. Shared protection duties imply relocation quotas, finances, and admission obligations. However, the state consent is foundation of international law. And when we look at the US system, the system which was built to handle this type of situation and was best at it, has already failed because of overpopulation. If a climate displacement obligations are imposed broadly, state may resist participation in refugee frameworks altogether, and we will have collapse. Also, this kind of matters must be solved regionally, not internationally. To be more precise, if a person must leave Armenia, will they move to USA? No, they will not. They will move in either Georgia, Turkey, or Azerbaijan. These kind of problems must be solved by regional matters because it's a regional problem. The stability of existing refugee regime must not be jeopardized by overly ambitious expansion. Because the law must be precise, because the binding shared duties undermine sovereignty and political viability, and because the existing law already addresses these matters, we oppose by these reasons. With that, we finish up. We're opening our opening speech. Thank you.
Thank you. We have heard the opening statements. Now we'll hear the first rebuttal for the in favor position. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Then I will begin my rebuttal at the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1. The opposition conflates the right to avoid immediate harm with the right to human security. Current non-refoulement jurisprudence, for example, the Tatoa case that we cited, as well as the ICJ advisory opinion, acts only as a judicial safety valve. So it blocks deportation but provides zero legal standing. A person who successfully invokes non refoulement still lacks the right to work, access services, or remain permanently, often facing indefinite detention. This is a charity trap. Protection depends on judicial discretion rather than enforceable rights. We required a positive duty to admit and provide status because, as the Australian High Court noted, non refoulement does not create a right of entry. A formal category is the only way to convert a negative block on deportation into a positive framework for shared resettlement. Current framework is not recognition centered. The principle exists and the cause is recognized by the courts. We only need to build upon it. The claims in Tatoa were rejected because of the habitability threshold, which is set so high that a new category does not lower it. This chain exists on paper but has not protected a single person in practice. The problem is a doctrinal threshold issue, not the absence of a category, and this solution remains unenforceable on paper. Regarding the opposition's argument about multi-causality, it ignores how international law actually functions. As per the UNHCR handbook, refugee status has never required a single isolated cause of flight. Only an economic hardship often coexists with political fear. Climate change serves as a determinative factor that renders continued residence incompatible with human dignity. We solve the individual causation hurdle through group based presumptions and prima facie status, mechanisms that are already utilized for Syrian and Rohingya populations. International law cannot remain a silent spectator to the greatest displacement crisis of our time. We must convert the judicial consensus of our courts into a binding shield for the vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now hear the first rebuttal by the against position. Tallinn University of Technology, you have 2 minutes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be beginning my speech in, hold on a second, let me just get my timer. Okay, I'll be beginning my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Panel, we do very much agree with the fact that this is a very much of an ongoing issue within today's world, and these people need a solution as to which would actually address the problem as a whole, and that's the problem of migration and their security after they have been displaced from their nation. However, we do not believe as our team that the solution is to be creating a new legal category. I'll be giving you 2 rebuttals in this speech. One, a rebuttal when it comes to state responsibility, and secondly, a rebuttal when it comes to state sovereignty. Firstly, we need to address state responsibility. Yes, it is very much a great issue that these countries and these people are facing as of today. However, we need to think in a matter of enforcement. Firstly, who exactly would be responsible, or who exactly would be taking responsibility once these people are to be displaced? Common sense would tell you is that the nations closest to them would be the ones who would be taking responsibility. However, we need to accept the fact that these nations are regional in nature. Thus, to enforce a legal category with binding obligations wouldn't address the specific scenarios and the specific circumstances that these nations have within the region. Why? Because climate and natural disasters that cause these regional displacements happen to not just this nation where it happened originally, where people are displaced, but also to the place as but also the region around it, right? So ultimately, these people would be served better when through a regional bilateral agreement or multilateral agreement, because at the end of the day, these people would know most about their current situation, and to enforce a binding duty and obligation would simply be a one-size-fits-all glove that wouldn't necessarily work, because there are certain scenarios and circumstances that we need to take into account.
Thank you. Now for the second rebuttal by the Jindal Global University, you have 2 minutes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
All right, I will begin at the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1. So, when the opposition speaks about state responsibility, they claim that a binding treaty is impossible because major states will not accept admission obligations. They argue that a treaty will be weak or it will be ignored by major states, yet, this feasibility objection applies equally to every single alternative that they have proposed. Scaling CBDR linked climate finances or extending regional instruments, like, for example, the Kampala Convention, it requires the same political will from the same major emitters who resist binding obligations. We have seen that non-binding instruments like the Global Compact for Refugees, they remain unimplemented, and finance through the Loss and Damage Fund is currently under-delivered by billions. Political resistance is a universal challenge in international law, not a unique flaw of this motion. By establishing a binding legal category, we are moving away from the pay to keep architecture, where wealthy states fund containment in the South while avoiding their own protection duties. A formal category creates the legal necessary trigger to hold these high emitters accountable under their erga omnes obligations. As the proposition, we are only asking for minimum standards when we are asking for binding obligations. There has to be a political will to move something. This category is required to move the global debate. Otherwise, it will remain ignored and undiscussed. The 7.1 million refugees from Bangladesh who were displaced because of weather conditions, they will have no legal pathway to move their stake forward. Thus, we are proud to propose.
Thank you. We'll now hear the second rebuttal by the against position. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I'll begin in 3, 2, and 1. We very much believe that within our side of the house, there is actually much bigger obligation for enforcement. How is this the case? First and foremost, what we try to tell you is that these regional actors will be the ones who more or less understand their situations, and thus they would actually have a bigger incentive to enforce these such as obligations, because one, these binding bilateral and multilateral agreements will be among smaller parties, meaning these specific agreements will have to take into account more regional scenarios, and thus there's a higher incentive for them to actually take into account and try to accommodate as many people as possible. Secondly, what's on the line is a greater international and international relations obligations. Because of such a smaller treaty party, it would allow for stronger enforcements amongst oneself, keeping each other in check and making sure obligations are met. Because since they are regional actors, they have more of an incentive to actually keep a good relationship with their neighbors. Thus, there's a greater incentive on our side of the house for actual enforcement to happen. Now, another burden we would definitely have is to try to disprove how high enforcement would be worse on their side. We try to tell you is that because international law is a law that is largely based on interpretation, one issue would be state sovereignty. We've seen it time and time again. Multiple nations have downplayed international law because of issues of state sovereignty. It has either been altered or completely ignored. Because the thing is, international law isn't absolute within an international landscape. Within an absolute and theoretical sense, yes, it is. However, the world isn't as clear-cut as that. Many compromises and many interpretations are taken into account because of conflicts of laws. And thus, we believe regional bilateral solutions would be better because, well, they're going to compromise anyway.
Thank you very much. We'll now proceed to hear the concluding statements. Giving the floor to OP Jindal Global University, you have 2 minutes for the in-favor position.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
All right. I will commence at the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1. Honorable adjudicators, I close for the proposition.
Apologies.
First, the legal obligation already exists in.
Yes.
Apologies. Your audio cut. Please restart your statement.
Apologies.
Yes, your audio cut, so you have to restart.
Sure.
Yeah, please restart.
Just give me a moment.
Yeah, sure.
I seem to not be able to navigate my laptop. Thank you. All right. I will commence at the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1. Honorable adjudicators, I close for the proposition, and I will do two things: restate what we proved and then show why we prevailed on every clash. We proved, first, the legal obligation already exists across climate law and human rights law. What is missing is a recognized legal category to make it claimable. Second, non-recognition does not stop movement. It only forces people into misclassification and multiplies harms. Their objections stand neutralized. First, on their definitional objection citing multi-causality and lack of precision, it is a misreading of international law. It has always accommodated mixed motive framework and group-based assumptions. The most demonstrable authority on this is the 1951 Convention and the current refugee law. Second, they said the existing protections are enough. They conceded our foundation but conveniently dodged our gap, since contemporaneous tools such as non-refoulement are negative duties to not to return someone to die. It is not a status with foundational rights that millions can invoke. Thirdly, they said developed states won't sign and game it to their will, centering their argument on state sovereignty. So they are inadvertently admitting the need to generate a political will in the face of beaming self-interest, making the imposition of an affirmative framework the only way out. So the end of this debate is clean. We offered a workable legal vessel for an existing legal obligation, and they offered deficit paralysis and discretionary patchwork. And for all these reasons, the proposition prevails. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now hear the concluding statements by the Tallinn University of Technology. You have 2 minutes for your concluding statements.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Right. I shall begin in 3, 2, 1. I thank the learned opposition for their passionate defense of the vulnerable. We share their outrage at the injustice faced by those displaced by a warming world. But passion must be guided by precision, or it leads us off a cliff. We reinforce our concerns about causality. We should not ask the mother to prove which spark started the fire, but in a court of law, that is exactly what we must do. If you create a category that requires proof of climate attribution, we are setting up displaced people for failure. The science is very complex, the factors are multiple, and while the experts debate, the refugee is left in limbo. A right you cannot prove is no right at all. The learned opposition's proposal is a beautiful door that locks from the outside. We do not want to be misunderstood as fearing refugees. We do not fear people. We fear the consequences of a bad law. If you create a binding, shared protection duty, we are asking sovereign states to sign a blank check. The increasingly ascendant populists in developed nations will call it an invasion, and they will simply refuse to ratify any treaty that concerns it. The result? We get nothing. Zero. We end up with a symbolic piece of paper and no protection for anyone. This brings us to the argument of undermining existing frameworks. The learned opposition dismisses the temporary protection in labor mobility as mere bandages. However, we say that a bandage works better than a surgery that never happens. Let us expand the humanitarian visa. Let us create regional free movement zones. These are tangible, achievable, and they put people in safe homes, not in legal arguments decades from now. Our primary duty is not to recognize the displaced after the fact, but to prevent the displacement entirely. This means mitigation. This means holding back the water. This means keeping the state most vulnerable from disappearing in the first place. We would like to reiterate our argument that bilateral and multilateral treaties can be a more proficient way of tackling displacement due to climate change, as most people displaced by climate would be displaced internally or regionally, thus equipping the states closest to local issues to tackle the climate change. The learned opposition offers us a symbol. While they are guided by passion, we offer you a strategy. That is why I urge you to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can all now relax. You are no longer under the evaluation. Well, first of all, congratulations on your second day debate match for the topic. Well done on presenting your arguments today. As always, the judges will have 2 working days to review and submit the scoring cards. And as in the first round, we will share them with you. First, I would like to ask you to share the feedback today for today's call. So starting with the Open Jindal Global University, Ms. Barkova, how did you find today's debate, the topic, and the exchange?
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak. I hope I'm audible. I thoroughly enjoyed the discussion today, especially the back and forth and the clashes we had. I think that prompted us to come up with certain points on spot. So that was very interesting. And yeah, it was a incredibly enlightening discussion as well. And the opposing team did come up with certain examples we did not think of. They also rebutted in their opening speech the case law we cited in our support. So that is also something, that was also a very interesting tactic, which we have not deployed in our previous matches, but hope to incorporate in our upcoming matches as well. So yeah, overall, a wonderful experience.
Thank you very much. The same question to Tallinn University of Technology, Mr. Isudnu.
I must say that we faced off against a very fearsome and very talented opponents, and I thoroughly enjoyed the debate, and I thoroughly enjoyed the kind of. I very much admire the clarity and the kind of tempo that they had in delivering their arguments, and they were all very incredible. I'm very happy.
Thank you very much. Now giving the floor to Jindal Global University's Mr. Sriharsh. How did you find the debate, and perhaps did you hear familiar arguments from the other side?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, first of all, the topic itself was very thought-provoking. So we definitely spent a lot of time working on the topic itself. Since we did prepare for both sides, yes, we had certain arguments that our learned opponents made that we also had thought of, and some arguments that they made that we definitely did not think of. So we were really surprised on how they performed and how they presented their arguments as well. Thank you so much for having us here, and thank you to the opponent team for participating and being so respectful and nice throughout the competition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now passing floor to Tallinn University's Mr. Michiladze.
Hello again. Thank you, our dear opponents, for fierce debate. I really enjoyed the debate. The topic was interesting and it had both sides of the coins. We kind of came to an agreement that the problem is existing, and we just proved our different ways to solve the problem. So thank you, and best of wishes in the future. And I hope we meet again in Hoglaw debates or in any other events. Thank you, and best of luck.
Thank you very much. Now passing back to Jindal Global University, Ms. Sarkar. How did you find the debate today?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
I believe my teammates have covered most of it. However, I really wanted to commend our learned opposing team on their brilliant arguments. It really felt like a back and forth between us. Um, Other than that, it was a great experience to be able to pick out their arguments, which were very logical, very well structured, and having to rebut that on the go. Lastly, I would also like to thank the organizers for organizing this debate, as it has been a huge learning experience. Since our friendly matches, it has been going on, and we learn more and more from each debate that we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to Tallinn University of Technology's Mr. Mangpantai, how did you find today's debate?
Hello, I found today's debate very, very fun, specifically because I come from the Middle East and I've debated with Indians before, and I usually find it a very enjoyable experience because within their culture, they're some of the brightest minds I've ever seen, and it really showed in today's debate and how they managed to navigate themselves around the motion and the stance. So I thank the organizers for this opportunity to bring me some nostalgia and some experiences from back home. And thank you so much for the other team for bringing in such a good case for today's debate.
Thank you very much. And once again, well done. Well done for your day 2 debate. I'm passing now to Professor Orange to wrap up us off for today.
Yes, well done for this match. That was very enjoyable to see you debating on that topic, and as well we see that you are really into the competition. Now for the two last questions of this session, it's a bit different than after your first match. So first I will ask you, yes, if you have watched match from other teams this year or previous years, and which elements, let's say, you were very impressed about, or challenge, let's say, or intrigued even. And the second question is more about what you consider for yourself you are developing the most in terms of skills during the competition. So I will start with a team from Tallinn University of Technology. So I don't know if one of you want to start. Yeah.
Yep, we'll go first. Yes, I have watched the game, not game, a debate between the Bologna University and a team from Bhutan, and their discussion about polar resources was actually really good. And I watched them because we faced Bologna University in our first match, and we're keeping eye on all the teams, but the team we know the most could be a team we study the most, and they had a really good debate. I mean, the both sides. Also, the Bhutan side really impressed me, and I hope we also get a chance to face them in the future. And about our pluses and minuses. Yeah, I think my plus is the teamwork, and just when I do my opening speech, I kind of like lead my teammates on which ways to go, which ways to not go, because every debate has its every side has its own minuses and pluses. And yeah, my I focus to open my speeches in a way that puts us in a favorable position to at the end win the debate. So that will be my plus and my tactic to win the debates.
Thank you. And your colleagues, maybe? The match and the skills? Mr. McPatai? Oh.
Good evening. I hope I'm audible.
Oh, yes, you can. Yeah, please, go ahead. Yeah.
Apologies, I did not catch that.
Yes,
Alright.
so the two questions...
So yes, we did.
Yeah, please go. Please go ahead.
Right. So yes, we did watch their previous match, and even through this match, one thing in particular which we tried to incorporate is the tempo and the calmness with which the speakers kind of modulate their entire speech. So the opening is always on the calmer side, which helps get the point across with more clarity, whereas the rebuttals are always fierce in that sense. So they always are on point. Other than that, the usage of anecdotes and analogies is something we wish we could also incorporate to a better extent, because they are very persuasive. And even in today's match, they were able to do that. Especially the third speaker's, the concluding statement, the usage of the deployment of pathos throughout their speech. It did a wonderful job at rounding up their entire argument, and similarly it sounded very persuasive as well. So these are a couple of things we definitely have learned from their previous matches and this match itself, and hopefully we are also able to inculcate all of these tips and tricks in our upcoming match. So that would be it.
Thank you. Your teammates want to add something? No? Oh, the teammates of...
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, please go. Yeah.
Yes, no, my teammate Sada perfectly summarized everything that we'd want to say. Just adding on, we watched their match, and that definitely helped us structure our arguments as well. Like, we watched their match against Bologna, and our learned opponents did a great job structuring their arguments. So we tried to follow a similar style this time, and that's it. All the best to them, and all the best to us as well, to see where it takes us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Senior or Mr. McPantai? No?
Well, I can add that the only previous debates that I've really watched was the one that we had against Bologna. I kind of rewatched that. I haven't really, as such, watched too many of the past debates, although I'll definitely put a note on it, and I definitely will. But I feel like we learned a lot from that debate, and I feel like part of the beauty of debating in this context is that we learn so much from our opponents. And I feel like we definitely incorporated a lot from what we learned from Bologna into this debate, and I'm sure we will incorporate a lot that we learned from our opposing team here to our next debate. And I find that to be a really nice aspect of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that was the second day, second match for you. in the Group A, and indeed the next match will be for Tallinn against the team from Bhutan, and for Jindal, the team from Bologna. So we wish you the best, and of course in the next day you will receive the score sheets from the free judge, and we thank again the free judge for watching this match. So we hope they enjoyed it as much as we did as well as organizers, and yes, we are looking forward in 2 weeks to hear from you for the third match of the group phase. So many thanks, and wish you the best over there. Thank you again. Bye bye.